Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast, traders. Starting off with the DXY, the monthly chart first. As you can see, we are in between monthly supply and monthly demand, but we are closer to the supply, which makes me think we will most likely be pushing up to the monthly supply first. Now, it doesn't mean we're just going to go straight there. Obviously, it's been a struggle, but based off of that monthly chart, I think that is where we are going. Let me know where you guys think we're headed on the dollar according to the monthly chart in the comments down below. So now over here on the weekly time frame on the DXY, we almost pushed down to this weekly buying area at 105, and it looked like we were, but we eventually ended up turning around and going back up. So I will say on the lower time frames, there's really no evidence to suggest we will be pulling back down to that weekly demand zone just yet. Obviously, as we kind of hit the highs, it's possible we do retrace back down, but for now on the lower time frames, it is looking strong, and we could just be headed up to that monthly / weekly supply zone. So let's go down to the lower time frames and see what is taking place. On the daily time frame, momentum is certainly up overall, I would say. However, in this sequence of time, we are clearly just going sideways. So I would really like to see a break of that high, because then we will have an ability to draw an upward trend line, which is stronger than momentum, in my opinion. On the 4-hour time frame, we had a very picture-perfect downward trend line in the 4-hour time frame. The trend line was removed, and now we are pushing up. This is a strong indication that we will most likely be breaking this high and creating that daily uptrend and pushing up to that monthly supply zone that I was talking about earlier. However, this is not a trend. This is just momentum. Momentum fails easier than trend. So what I would like to see is a clear pullback, higher high, some sort of ability to draw an actual trend line here after we make that higher high, which would indicate strength. And then as we approach this week, this 4-hour supply zone at 107.35, we have seen a previous reaction off the supply, so we could see another reaction, but ultimately I think we will be breaking it. And if we have a 4-hour demand zone there, that would be even better. So basically looking for this move to really signal strength in the dollar. You could also be on the 1-hour time frame monitoring this 1-hour upward trend line. So draw this trend line on your charts. It is from this low back here to this point right here. Draw it exactly how I drew it. That is a proper trend line in my opinion there. There's also another one, but I'm not going to draw it here. It doesn't really matter. That's the overall trend line. But that's what I'm looking at. If we break that trend line, okay, maybe we are headed back down, or maybe we are just creating that peak I was talking about, right? So we need to monitor this trend line, monitor the 4-hour time frame to see what takes place, to see if we can create that upward trend to really signal if we're going to be going up to the monthly supply or not. But overall, it is looking strong on the dollar, especially since we've broken this downward trend line in the 4-hour chart and we have a nice 1-hour trend to the upside. On to the weekly Forex forecast for the Euro US dollar. As you can see, beautiful daily downward trend here. It was looking like we were going to push up towards the highs of the trend line. Eventually ended up rolling over. So in my opinion, it is shorts all the way in the euro. It's not super obvious though. When you look at a 4-hour chart here, we are clearly just kind of going sideways. We do have a 4-hour supply above that was almost hit. If you're bearish, we have two options. For longs, to be honest with you, I'm not seeing any opportunities for longs right now until we can break this supply. And then maybe if we have a demand zone there, then we could look for longs. There is a demand zone down here at 1.04. It is pretty tested though. Like it's not super tested, but we did react off of it already. So if you are going to look for longs in this demand zone, I would highly recommend looking for confirmation on a 5-minute time frame. That's it. I would not just be placing an order with a stop loss and take profit above. Could it work? Sure, but I personally don't like trading at tested zones like that. It worked here, right? We reacted off the zone, boom, came in for a second test and rallied up. But it's just not my cup of tea. But if you want, like I said, confirmation on a lower time frame could be good there. That is the only option I'm seeing for long confirmation there, or like I said, if we break that supply. If you are bearish, we have two options. We could wait for this 4-hour supply above. I still think looking for confirmation inside of that zone would be better as well, because it was almost tested. So that is our one supply zone there. The next option would be to, if we break this if we break that demand zone there, leaving us with a supply zone there, we could look for a short trade off of that zone. But that hasn't taken place yet, so we need to be a little bit patient. On the 1-hour time frame, we had a break of a trend line which gave us this demand, ended up pretty much stopping out there. Supply zone created, but this is just really tight price action. Not a great trading opportunity in my opinion, but there is supply here at 1.05. This really, you absolutely need a confirmation in there on a 5-minute time frame, but we could see a move off of it to the downside, and that's really the only zone that I'm seeing that's closest to price. But it is a little bit risky, like I said, based on the poor move away. However, with the daily downward trend that we are seeing, and the weekly downward trend, and the dollar strength, I think the euro is going to continue to fall, in my opinion. We just need to wait for supply zones to be hit or demand zones to be removed and create new supply zones on the euro US dollar. On to the forecast for gold. Beautiful weekly trend to the upside. A little bit of hesitation here, but all signs are really pointing to the upside, and let me show you why. On the dollar chart here, or sorry, on the daily chart here of gold, we had this high. We just broke above the high there, and that has given us a daily upward trend line. Not the best trend line, and I'm not loving these two red days that we have seen. However, and as long as this trend line's holding, I'm going to be bullish on gold. Now, if you are liking this video, make sure to hit that like button if you are enjoying the video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel so you can get these forecasts every single week. Would be much appreciated. So monitor this daily upward trend line. If this trend line breaks, that's fine. I'm still going to be bullish on gold, just not temporarily, because we will have daily demand down here at 25.80, daily demand at 25.29, and daily demand at 24.70. So any one of these zones could react to the upside off of. So as long as this trend line's holding, it is longs all the way. If not, then we have to wait for those daily zones to start to be hit. How do we trade gold right now? Well, on the 4-hour time frame, we have a upward trend line that's still holding. We can monitor that trend line. It's pretty much the daily trend line as well. So as long as that trend line's holding, you could be looking for longs on the day trading time frames. There is a supply zone up here. It's pretty low quality, so we're going to go down to the lower time frames. But let's say we start to break up here, break these supply zones. Any demand zones there, we could definitely look for longs off of those 4-hour demand zones, but it just hasn't happened yet. Now, on the 1-hour chart, we have a little bit of a different price action here. We broke this area of demand on the 1-hour chart, and that has given us a supply zone up here. Not my favorite supply zone, but it is not bad. So if you are bearish, this is our supply zone there at 26.83. If you think, hey, that daily upward trend is just a fake out, we're going to go down to the downside, we're getting a deep pullback down to the daily demand on gold, that's fine if you have that mindset, but the only way I would short is at that 1-hour supply zone there. That is it. And then if we can create a 1-hour downtrend, then that would really indicate weakness. But for now, all I'm seeing is a temporary pullback. This could just be a temporary pullback and a greater bull run that we are seeing. And like I said, with that daily trend forming, that could definitely be indicating that we are going to be pushing up to the weekly highs again and making all-time highs again on gold. So hopefully all this makes sense, guys. Any questions at all, do not hesitate to leave a comment and ask. I answer every single comment. On to the forecast for the USDJPY. You guys know the last couple weeks we did point out this little drop-based drop, weekly supply zone. Beautiful move off the zone, but we did have a little rally-based rally here, and we are clearly reacting off of it, going up to the weekly supply for a second time at 156.07. Do I think this weekly supply is going to hold and we're going to go all the way down? No, I don't. I do think we will probably hesitate around here before we do break it to the upside. If we do, I just want to say I don't think this weekly supply is going to hold that well, but I think we will most likely pause at that weekly supply zone. This chart is looking really similar to the daily chart on the DXY as well, as we're kind of basing out here, valleying out before we break to the all-time, or not the all-time highs, but break above this high. So this could just be that valley in the greater daily trend that we could be getting. On the 4-hour time frame here, we have clearly broken this downward trend line and we are pushing up. However, this is what I like to call momentum. This is not a nice trend. Trend is it's more sustainable than a momentum, in my opinion, like I've said before. So we really want to see a nice valley here before we really indicate strength on the USD yen. But with the break of that 4-hour trend line and the fact that we do have a 1-hour trend line to the upside, that's significant in my opinion. So draw this trend line from this point to this point. That is the proper way to draw the trend line in my opinion. As long as this trend line's holding, 5-minute time frame longs are going to be good. Yes, there is a 1-hour demand zone all the way down at 150.50. That removed a trend line, but do I think we're going to go down to there? Not really, and it's really looking pretty strong in my opinion. So monitor this trend line. As long as that trend line's holding, guys, I don't mind looking for longs on a 5-minute chart. I think it's a good idea. On to the forecast for the GBPUSD weekly chart first. Beautiful trend to the upside here on the trend line, and we did react off of it once, pushed up. I thought we were going to get up to that weekly supply. Doesn't look like we are. However, if we do push up to there, I just want to say I think it's a great opportunity for a potential swing trade, as it's a very powerful weekly area of supply. as we come into the trend line again for a second time, to me it looks like we could break. And actually, if we do close below it, it makes this weekly supply even stronger. But as we approach this, we could see some strength in the pound. We have to be a little bit careful trading it right now. And even on the daily time frame, we had this daily supply zone right here. I still think it's a good area to look for shorts. It's right before the weekly supply, so it could be an area we see a move off of, especially since it's a clear resistance area before it. Could be kind of a resistance trap setup there. But overall, it is looking pretty weak here on the GBPUSD. On the 4-hour time frame here, we had a beautiful drop-based drop supply zone from all the way back in November, and we got a beautiful move off of it this past week. And that was a trade that I called out in the daily market breakdown videos. If you want to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership for exclusive access to our daily market breakdown videos and catch trades like these. Plus, dive deep with our full-length forecast covering 26 plus markets, our interactive Sunday Zoom sessions, and personal homework to sharpen your strategy. And you'll also join our private Discord group for direct access to me and unlock a complete library of A to Z video lessons to master supply and demand trading. Don't miss out. Let's level up your trading. Links in the description down below. So this supply zone trade is currently working out. Profits are still being held as we push down to the 1.25 area. So you could still be holding your shorts down to this demand zone. It's a very tested demand zone, so I don't think we're going to get a huge reaction off of it. However, I think we will maybe hesitate around here. And if we break that, any 4-hour supply zone there, we could definitely look for shorts as we are letting this one kind of play out right now. There is a setup over here on the 1-hour time frame. We do have a nice 1-hour downward trend here. So you could be looking for shorts on a 5-minute chart. I think that is fine. And of course, pullbacks up to that little drop-based drop supply zone at 1.27 could be good. 5-minute extra confirmation here might be best because it's not my favorite supply zone, but it is. If price starts to rally up, then that could indicate we are going to react off this supply zone there. So hopefully all this makes sense on here on the pound. It is shorts all the way, in my opinion. It's not screaming, oh my god, we got to get in short, just like it was at this supply zone. But at the end of the day, I think if you're day trading, if you want to trade that 1-hour supply zone pullback, it's a good little area we could look for shorts off of here on the British pound. On to the forecast for the USDCAD. On the weekly time frame here, we have all signs are pointing to the upside. We have supply zones being removed. Not only that, we have a beautiful trend line to the upside here. Are we, quote unquote, due for a pullback? Sure. Just because we are quote unquote due for a pullback, prices going up in almost a 90-degree angle, doesn't mean we're going to get a pullback. But I'm just saying we could see some weakness. But overall, we want to be trading with the trend, in my opinion, here on the USDCAD. On the daily time frame here, I'm not going to draw any new daily demand here, but you guys know we called out this daily zone from a while back, and in my opinion, it's with these supply zones being removed, trends to the upside, things are looking really strong here on the USDCAD. On the 4-hour time frame, we called out this beautiful rally, this drop-based rally area of demand in the daily market breakdown video. Beautiful setup from that 4-hour demand zone. At this point, we still have trend lines to the upside. So I think if you are bullish and you're a day trader, you're in luck. We could definitely be looking for longs on the day trading time frames. I don't want to draw any 4-hour demand zones there, but if we do start to create some on the way up, I will have that on my chart for the members, and we could be looking for longs off of those zones. So monitor that. And on the 1-hour time frame as well, beautiful 1-hour trend line. I don't have any zones here. I don't force bad zones, so I'm basically waiting for new good zones to be formed with nice strong moves away, where we could continue to look for longs off of those zones. But in the meantime, as long as this trend line's holding on the 1-hour chart, you could be looking for 5-minute time frame longs. Whether you trade support and resistance, bull flags, bear flags, or sorry, not bear flags, but bull flags, support, whatever you like to trade, as long as this trend line's holding, you could be looking for longs. I always recommend trading supply and demand, but just because you don't do that doesn't mean you can't look for longs if you trade a certain strategy, as long as this trend line's holding. So on the USDCAD here, guys, it is looking strong. It is longs all the way, especially on the day trading timeframes. And like I said, if we have new 4-hour and 1-hour zones being formed, I'll have those on the charts, and we can continue to look for longs off of those zones. On to the forecast for the AUDUSD, the Aussie US dollar. Yes, we are into a weekly area of demand, but look at this demand zone. Tested once, twice, all the way in. 3, 4, 5, 6 times. This is pretty much non-existent. I'm not going to remove it off the chart, but it's just non-existent in my opinion. All signs are really pointing to the downside, as on the daily time frame here we have beautiful daily downward trend line. So things are really looking weak here on the Aussie US dollar. We did catch a beautiful base drop area of supply trade off of that 1 hour supply zone. That was another trade called out in the daily market breakdown video last week. Absolutely killing it lately. So how do we trade this one now? Well, that 1 hour supply zone's in control and it's already been tested. The 4 hour supplies tested as well. So I'm not seeing any fresh zones on my chart right now, guys. I'm just being honest with you. So at this point, what I would be doing, have this 4 hour trend line on your chart. As long as this trend line's holding, you could be looking for shorts on 50-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame. Both are fine. It is shorts all the way. I would have loved to have pointed out these trades to you guys, but like I said, they come throughout the week sometimes, so that's why the members get those, and I can't do a YouTube video every single day. But it is shorts all the way, especially on the day trading time frames, as long as these downtrends are holding. And look, if we break to the upside here, break the supply, break the downward trend line, and we have a nice 4 hour zone there, then we might be looking for longs at that point off a demand zone there. But until that takes place, it is shorts all the way here on the AUDUSD. On to the forecast for the USDCHF. Weekly supplies and control looked like we were going to be pulling out of it, but look at this very, very strong week we've had in the USD Swiss here as we push back into the supply. And look how deep that supply is tested as well. In my opinion, this looks like it is going to break. And just like I've been pointing out on the DXY as well, we are kind of basing out. Looks like we want to break the high and create a nice daily trend, and that would be signaling some strength. So that is what I think we will most likely be seeing here on the USD Swiss. In the meantime, we could just continue to be looking for longs as long as this trend line is holding. Even if we do get a pullback all the way down to this demand zone at 0.88 on the 1 hour chart, I think it's a great area to look for longs. So watch this 1 hour chart, watch this trend line, look for longs as long as the trend line is holding on a 5-minute time frame, and pullbacks down to that 1 hour zone at 0.88 could also be good. On the 4 hour time frame, we do have a 4 hour supply that's in control. It is clearly holding right now. So if you're bearish and you want to trade that weekly supply, I get it. I just think it's looking weak based on how much it's been tested. So it's a little bit risky trading it, in my opinion, at this time. However, if you are bearish and you're a day trader, as long as the supply zone's holding, you could be looking for 50-minute time frame confirmation trades off of that 4 hour supply zone. So look for supply zones on a 50-minute chart to be created, and you could be looking for shorts. Now, if we break this 4 hour supply zone, boom, any demand zone I will have in the charts, and I think it's a great area to look for longs off that demand zone. But at this time, recording of this video, I don't see any demand here just yet until we can break this supply. So to re-summarize, watch the 1 hour chart. You could be looking for longs as long as the 1 hour trend line's holding. If you're absolutely bearish and you have to get in short, that is our short trade off the supply zone. Confirmation on a 50-minute chart could be better since the zone's already been tested. And then if we can get this supply removed, at that point, any 4 hour demand zone there could be good for longs. Last but not least, on to crude oil. A weekly downward trend still going strong. We are seeing some strength, but we have seen that so many times here. Oil has been tricky to trade. It's been all over the place, but with some strength, it could indicate that we will be pulling up to the daily supply at 74.70, and I think we will most likely hold off that supply zone. That's just my opinion. So we are seeing some strength. How do we go about and trade oil at this point? Well, on the 1 hour time frame, we do have very nice upward trend line here on the 1 hour chart. Beautiful move off that 1 hour supply zone that we caught there. If we do break this 1 hour supply there, any 1 hour demand, we could definitely look for a long trade off that demand zone, as well as looking for longs on a 5-minute time frame as long as this trend line is holding. Those are the two options on the 1 hour time frame. On the 4 hour chart, we had a beautiful beautiful trade off the 4 hour demand zone right here. This supply zone looks like it's going to fail. I had some confidence in it, especially since the weekly trend is down. I was looking forward to this 4 hour supply. Looks like we're going to break it there, but that's fine. If we can break the supply, if we can break the high, any demand zone here, we could certainly be looking for longs on the 4 hour chart, just like we did here and just like we did down here. If you go back and watch the weekly Forex forecast from a while ago, I called out this 4 hour zone. Beautiful setup off that zone, still holding. So looking strong. Basically, at this point, what we could be seeing is a temporary pullback in the overall weekly trend. So we could be catching this move to the upside. However, we have to be monitoring that daily chart as well, because that's where we could be pulling back up to. But like I said, if we remove these highs, remove the supply zones, any demand zones, we could be looking for long. So basically at this point, just waiting for some new zones to be formed on crude oil on the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frame. But if you absolutely have to get in long now, we have a nice 1 hour trend to the upside. So 5-minute time frame longs are going to be fine, and profit margin is at least to that daily supply at 74.70, and at that point, then we will switch to shorts. If you guys want to watch the full length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.